stop a song about Coraline. She's a peach, she's a doll, she's a pal of mine. She's as cute as a button in the eyes of everyone who ever laid their eyes on Coraline. When she comes around exploring, Mom and I will never ever make it boring. Our eyes will be on Coraline.
Motion, you have no conviction. You only want to listen to this motion picture meltdown.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna knock your socks off with this question. Starting out this one, it's gonna make your socks come off.
I hate it already.
Like with my shoes still on?
It's
Yes.
gonna come in your socks.
It's the most uncomfortable thing. Oh my god.
Your socks will be filled with cum after this question.
Fuck that shit.
Okay, if you could choose any animated movie to see yourself as an animated character, take the style of the movie, which one would you pick? So, like, think about like animated movies and the style that they're in. Which one would you like to see yourself as a character in? And I'll start with Philip since he looks the most
confused by this question.
Yes.
I guess like maybe Toy Story 1 before they like really nailed down how to do people's faces.
So where there was like not a whole lot of expression.
Yeah, some really just they
Every-
look like you know they look like marionettes. Is what they look like.
Everybody's face looked like a cheap Spencer's mask.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So
Crazy
Toy Story
eyes.
1, okay,
Yeah.
I can dig that. What
Or
about
Toy
you?
Story 2 once they had the old man
More-
wrinkles mastered.
More definition.
Ooh, I got one.
Okay.
Gumby.
I feel like that's your real life, though.
Sliding through books. An orange horse.
I
Is
just
that
wanna-
Evan?
I
Is
just
Evan
wanna-
Pokey?
Just extremely low rent clay animation. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm Gumby, damn it!
How the fuck do I have a shirt this new and there's already a hole in it?
Are you fingering your shirt?
I am.
He's fingering his shirt hole.
My armpit itched, so it just my finger went right in there.
No. All right, Mark.
What about Alisa?
All right, Lisa.
I'm still thinking. It's such a
Come
hard
on.
question. I love animated movies.
Well,
Like
just pick one and roll with it.
probably Muppet.
You
Probably
wanna
Muppet
be a
movie.
Muppet?
Just to see what I look like as a Muppet. I think I'd be absolutely
That doesn't
wonderful.
count. You can't be a Muppet. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. You
could be
Wait,
a Muppet
Philip,
baby.
you officially named the Muppet?
I'm gonna go ahead and say no to the
Muppet. What about Muppet Babies? That was animated.
That's
Do you
a,
wanna
No,
be a
but it's
Muppet
based
that's
baby?
a
off
cartoon. That's not an
Muppets.
animated feature.
I don't know if Gumby
It's
was
still a
either.
card. It's still animation.
The Muppets have been unanimously named!
Philip has officially named your Muppets.
Okay.
And when Philip
That's his
officially
job.
names something, it is officially named.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
okay.
understand. I understand. I get it. Oh gosh, that's such a difficult question though.
Answer it.
Probably Beauty and the Beast.
Really?
Yes. Just to see what I'd be, what furniture I'd be. Does
What
that
kind of
make sense?
furniture
You
would
want
you
to
like
be you want to be
What
animated
kind
as a furniture piece.
I want to know, just that's so hard.
You don't have a last name that's conducive to it. Though.
I don't. I
She
don't.
could be a
Last name's
ham.
not Potts.
Be a
or-
ham. Eating. So are you saying I'm fat, Steven?
No, I'm just
That's not very
saying.
nice.
I'm just saying. Never mind.
That's such a hard question.
You'd be a kitchen appliance.
There's no recovering from that. Man. You're done. You've called her fat. Just go ahead and say it. Be like, yeah, bitch, you're fat.
All right, Mark.
Yeah. Let's see. I think, honestly, if I were to choose any animated feature that I would be in, I would have to choose one that has already portrayed me as a character, and that would be The Lion King, because Pumbaa. That's pretty much me.
So you'd just be an animal.
And fart. That's what I do anyway.
Everywhere.
Oh.
Lion King would be really good too. What about you, Steven?
Simpsons. would
So
be
I know
nice.
I was the one that made up this question, but I'm going to present this criteria to you. Does the entire movie have to be animated, or can there just be like animation?
Any
as a
kind of
movie?
animation.
Like Roger Rabbit?
You'd have
Yeah.
like.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
I think we talked about this earlier. I would really like to be like a Harryhausen like claymation figure.
That would be
Okay.
wonderful.
You just want to be a shitty T-Rex.
No, like I would
That
be
eats
like
shitty army
I would be
figures.
like a giant me. Like you know how he did like the Cyclops and the Voyage of Sinbad.
God damn
or
it!
whatever?
I just saw you with a loincloth coming out of the ocean. Ah! Doing the Steven.
Yeah, just
Oh,
like
God.
you know, there's like 5 or 6 guys with spears like pointing at me
Oh,
and
my
like trying to
gosh.
get me, and I'm roaring at them. And
Right, and then during the animation process, I just poke a toothpick in you whenever like you're supposed to be stabbed with a spear, and you go "Nah," very shittily.
Yeah.
Well, or better yet, it lets all the air out of him and just goes.
Just fly into the atmosphere.
Stephen Harryhausen Balloonsenberg.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Speaking of Harryhausen, he passed away in 2013, and that's very sad
Yes, it is.
because he was awesome. Clash of the Titans was my shit.
That was my jam, dog.
So, for this podcast, we have a special guest, Alisa Hamilton, the winner of our Motion Picture Meltdown podcast. Yay! She actually paid attention to things, except for apparently what Philip does not like to eat during the
I
holidays.
totally thought it was lemon bars.
That was
Well,
me.
that's one of those things that I don't like to eat.
I love lemon bars. So I was really offended.
The
That's
most
what I remember.
pies.
Ladies and
Most
gentlemen,
pies.
the only person on the earth to enjoy a lemon bar.
It's like Sprite, but pastry. It's like
And
key lime
disgusting.
pie, but oh my gosh, delicious.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's fucking
It's,
gross.
it's,
It's
it's
wonderful.
basically like any dessert at a Chinese buffet.
oh yeah,
it's
just
not.
They're just made out
They
of
have
cardboard.
lemon bars at Chinese buffets.
Yeah, they do.
No, because there's like the best lemon bar, this little cafe in Owensboro. Oh my gosh, the best thing.
Philip.
Who the fuck's
Name.
gonna go to Owensboro?
People who live in Owensboro.
I can't wait to go
There
all
might
the way
be
to
people-
Owensboro for a goddamn
Like-
lemon bar.
There might be people
Seriously.
who are in Owensboro listening to this podcast.
Dessert disgustingness. It's lemon bars, fruit cake, buttercream cookies, and then everything at a Chinese buffet.
Okay, well,
Which
Chinese
include
buffet,
all of the
All those
above.
things.
Chinese buffet, I agree, but I think lemon bars aren't allowed to be classified with those. Fruitcake, not on the same level as fruitcake. Honestly.
The fried biscuit covered in sugar. That's not too bad.
Oh, the
That's
sweet
actually-
dot.
But that's
That's right next to the chicken nuggets. So
Yeah.
that doesn't count.
right.
That's-
That's
that's-
actually on the buffet. It doesn't have its own separate.
It's not a
line.
dessert.
They
yeah.
just deep fry
sweet dog.
bread and then roll it in sugar.
Oh, it's totally like the biscuits right out of the fucking can.
Oh, it's
And
And
delicious.
of course, this podcast just went straight to Asian culture.
Hold up! Racism.
Yeah. With winning the contest, you get a free Cthulhu shirt.
Yay!
That's what you picked out.
Yes, I did.
You have
And
to say it Asian like.
I chose Miss Catholic University Shuttle. I'm very, very happy. Thank you very much. Motion Picture Meltdown.
thank you.
Yeah, but no.
Katuru.
So,
I'm done.
you have picked 2 animated movies
Yes.
for us to do. You have picked Coraline,
Coraline.
as well as Corpse Bride.
Yes.
I honestly think you picked Corpse Bride just to piss Mark off.
Yes. When I took notes, I have right
She
here. It
totally
says Corpse
did.
Bride. It says "fuck you, Mark" right above it.
You're
Just
actually
piss off
in the
Mark.
notes.
Yes.
You're in the
Because
notes
I
for this
hate
movie.
Tim Burton.
Why do you hate Tim Burton? Why?
Because
That's-
he hates everything.
Well,
Except for Stephen King.
there's,
Mark
there's
loves
a,
Stephen King.
there's a very short list of shit that I like, and Tim Burton has about 3 or 4 movies on the list of the shit that I do like. Everything else, fuck him and his fucking hair.
His hair's
He said that Tim Burton and Robert Smith from The Cure dock each other.
Now you have to explain what docking is.
Well, yeah, it's when you put your penis inside somebody else's penis.
That's what they do.
Philip's giving me
What
pissed
the
off face.
fuck? What is there a term for that?
Because somebody's done it. I mean, it's happened.
Exactly how would how whatever?
Look,
No,
people
you know, I
fucking
retract the question.
Google it. Google it.
Yeah,
Docking.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
need to get a real job someday, so let's not talk about that.
I don't even understand why I had to start bringing up docking
You know,
anyways. To begin
I
with.
kind of think you would have to not be into that to be able to do that. You know?
Yeah.
Because, if you have an erection, you're not going to have the extra wiggle room.
I don't know if
We are totally off
I'm
topic.
cutting this out.
No, we're not. We're leaving the docking in.
please take it out. And that's what he said.
No, I'm actually going to edit everything else out except the docking and just send it to all of your employers.
I'm really uncomfortable right now.
Good.
I see my boss coming up to me. Why were you talking about dicks going into other dicks? And how come Tim Burton is involved in this?
I really like Planet of the Apes.
And apparently they are really, really
Bullshit.
close to confirming a Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah, I did see that. And actually Alice in Wonderland too, but Tim Burton is not doing that. I think he got the point. We're going to start off with Coraline from 2009. This movie was...
You're not doing it in numerical order, and I'm going to go OCD right now.
I'm sorry, but we have to leave...
Uh,
I have to give a little bit of hatred for Tim Burton a rest until the end of the podcast.
Wapner comes
When
on
we can
30
just
seconds.
when we can just say Okay, let's hurry up and get Mark to hate on it, and then we can leave.
Yeah. We'll give this 5
Yeah, we can't start that way. It'll go on for hours.
Yeah. So Coraline was, of course, directed by Henry Selick, who also directed The Nightmare Before Christmas, as well as James and the Giant Peach. It was written by Neil Gaiman, who I believe is one of your favorite authors, right?
Yeah.
He's written a lot of shit. I've read a couple of things, mostly comics and American Gods, which wasn't as good as you said it was. But.
Well, yeah, I know that you weren't a big fan of American Gods. I love it. I think it's great. I think most of his like really, really good work comes from the stuff that he did for children and young adults, like The Graveyard Book and Coraline, and he wrote a couple episodes of Arthur on PBS.
Arthur the Aardvark?
Yeah, he wrote some episodes.
I was never 100% sure of what he was.
I think he was an aardvark.
He was
Yeah,
an
well, where's
aardvark.
his crazy long tongue? Don't aardvarks
Well,
have
I mean,
long
you
tongues?
can't have that on PBS.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Rogers would roll over his grave. Woo! Tongue!
Why is he sassy black woman?
Because he's dead.
Sassy black woman, Mr. Rogers.
It doesn't make any sense. Just that logic. Oh, he's dead.
So, Coraline stars Dakota Fanning as Caroline, as they call her 1,000 times in the movie.
So many times. It gets really confusing.
It does.
And the only other really named actor that I want to touch on, unless you guys do, is Ian McShane plays Mr. Babinski.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember his name, but I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Crazy Russian circus man?
Yeah. With
What
the-
about Keith David?
oh yeah, who's in a?
Or is it David Keith?
It's Keith
Keith
David,
Okay.
and he's in a billion things. Like he's actually more notably known now for his video game voices.
Or he's most notably known for his awesome scene in They Live.
Oh my god! Well, he's in a thing too.
He's in the thing too.
Yeah, but everybody
badass.
knows that fucking scene from They Live. You could
Oh,
have never
it's
seen it.
so
and just,
fucking great.
yeah, Roddy Piper and Keith
They
David
fight for
beating
so
the
long.
shit. They should have both been fucking dead. And they get up and give each other hugs and just walk the fuck off.
They're working on
Sorry,
good
Piper.
stuff.
Isn't he in the Call of Duty games too?
Yeah, he's done some voices in the Call of Duty games, I believe.
Mass Effect. He's and then he had his own show there for a while. I think it was called Luther. Maybe that was a different guy. I don't know if I can remember.
Does he do the
He's
voice
been
of the
in some-
Wuspus?
The what?
The Wuspus. Is he the voice of the Wuspus?
Yes.
The kitty cat.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. I didn't know what the
And he
fuck
was
you were
in
talking
Requiem
about.
for a Dream. He was the heroin dealer that got Jennifer Connelly to blow him, so good for
Ass
him.
to ass.
Yes.
Well, I didn't take it out just to give it some air.
Why were you just fucking Herman Munster just now? Was he not? Was he? Okay. He was Pet Cemetery Herman Munster.
Don't bury him down there. Brown or sour.
The god is sour.
I wouldn't go down that road. You'll have to give me a head if you go down that road.
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck?
This road uses up a lot of pets. Keep sucking.
I don't know why I decided to want to be a guest on this.
Yeah, we don't either.
Elisa's gonna quit the podcast, and she's not even on it.
I know, right?
I quit.
And if she doesn't quit, I'll definitely fire her.
That's fine.
You are fired.
That's fine.
So,
so
DeHart,
what's the
you were
fucking
saying this is a lot of firsts. This
Yeah.
is a virgin movie.
It's the longest feature animated, stop motion animated movie.
Yep, which is
That's quite an accomplishment.
it is.
'Cause
Yeah.
it takes a fuckload of time to do even 1 second of that
Oh
shit.
yeah. And as I said, earlier, it takes 3 to 4 months to construct even one of those little puppets that they use in this movie.
And it's the first stop motion movie that had a transformation scene in it, which is a lot of work because you have to switch it. Unless they're switching out parts in between shots, they're switching out entire puppets.
I think they did a mixture of
Or models.
both. I remember seeing a special on Coraline when it came out, like on HBO when they do the behind the scenes of HBO. They were showing that they had so many different puppets for that spider transformation scene.
It's just so smooth too. That's what makes it even better.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, it's definitely gone
Just
past the
gradual and
Harryhausen.
creepy.
Well, and it's actually the biggest stop animation movie that they've ever done. I read it has 130 different sets, 52 different stages, and all the sets and stages make up 183,000 square feet.
Oh
Like it's
So you mean just square footage wise, it's the largest?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, right, yeah.
It's
It uses the
outrageous.
most sets, uses the most stages. Like it's just fucking gigantic.
I mean, this is the stop motion guy of our modern age.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Well,
There's kind of a gap between him and Harryhausen that nobody really filled, but
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the guy.
yeah, and and he's really not that old. I think he's in his 40s. So.
And he's so goofy looking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, his picture on IMDb, he looks like the fucking Joker. The Joker out of makeup.
Mark is putting my leg between his legs.
Well, it's because we're touching a lot, and I'm not sure if I like it or I don't. But
That's really deep.
You're trying to decide.
And a lot of the props of this movie were made with like simple shit. Like a lot of the environments, like for instance, the snow was made with super glue and baking powder.
Oh.
Like you have to be a fucking.
what was that?
What? I was like, oh, that's never.
No, it was hard.
She's tapping into her kung fu roots.
Yeah, no, I was like, what was that?
That was just me acknowledging and nodding along, being like, never mind.
Yeah, like.
Fuck you.
That's really all you have to do because Mark's just gonna make fun of you. There's
I
nothing
know,
you can
right?
do
No matter
about
what I
it.
do.
There's something to be said about genius when you can take little everyday things and know that they make awesome shit for your props. I mean, I guess it takes a lot of experience with models and puppets and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
A lot
I feel
of
like
experimentation.
It's just a shitload of trial and error.
Well,
Yeah.
special effects guys do that, especially in horror. Like, I remember hearing something, the original Last House on the Left, in one scene where they stab a girl and they pull her guts out, they filled the intestines with peanut butter and jelly.
Really?
Yeah, they filled it with, like, jelly and peanut butter and, like raspberry jelly and stuff, just to make it look gross.
Jelly and peanut butter and raspberry jelly.
Well, I meant to say raspberry jelly so that people were like, ooh, peanut butter and jelly sandwich inside of you.
So what did that make? I don't remember like what it made. The look of it. It was just gooey guts. And
I
shit?
believe when
pretty
you buy
much.
it in a store, they call it goobers.
Goober great. That's right. Yeah, that's
That
right.
stuff's fucking gross.
Because who wants their jelly and peanut butter already put together?
Why does it need to be?
It doesn't.
Like-
Who's too lazy to mix their jelly and peanut butter?
I don't know.
Why would you ever want to mix them? Just put them on each side of the.
Has anybody ever seen the Mr. Show sketch where they were doing they had mustard and mayonnaise in like different bars and jars, and they had a jar of where it was they had it separated out vertically, and there was another brand that had it in layers.
No. That sounds disgusting.
It was called back several times in the episode. It was pretty
Ugh.
good.
Gross.
That's really nasty.
So let's talk about the plot of Coraline a little bit.
Musto mayonnaise.
Coraline and her ridiculously shitty mother and father moved to.
Just the worst.
They're just assholes.
Pretty much.
They moved to
Terry
a new
Hatcher
house.
voices her mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's automatically, she's a shitty mother just looking at her.
Which is
As a
probably why she
person,
got
even
cast.
worse as a Muppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Muppet.
Yeah, shitty Muppet. A welfare Muppet, a Wuppet.
And
A moppet.
so her parents don't pay her any attention, and they're just kind of shitty to her in general. Like, whenever she's kind of a bitch. Coraline's kind of a bitch, and she leaves shit all over the house. In case you guys didn't notice,
She's angsty.
she is very angsty. Whenever she got that doll from her friend or whatever, it was all wrapped up in newspaper. Just threw the newspaper on the floor. Then she took off her raincoat, just threw it on the fucking floor. I think either Brandy or Lisa was like, "No wonder her fucking parents are shitty with her all the time. They got to clean up after her all the fucking time."
Well, not only that, but they're obviously broke. Like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
trying their best to, like, somehow make it, and they're both having to work their asses off
They're
all day.
writing in a
She just
fucking vegetable catalog. What the fuck are they supposed to do?
They're not that broke. They were able to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're living in an apartment.
Well,
Boarding
unless
house
they-
with, like,
unless
They're living,
200
they're
crazy
living in the
people.
most
Yeah.
scariest apartment imaginable with 3 of the scariest
The
creatures
pink
imaginable.
palace.
They could be much
Sounds like
more
fucking
broke.
The Pussy
if they-
Palace.
Stop it!
If they used to be in a house and had to sell that house and move it into an apartment.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Uh,
That's probably
uh,
what. I mean, they're acting like if they don't get this catalog sold to whoever they're trying to sell it to,
Fucked.
Yeah.
they're done. Like, she's like, well, I would buy you these gloves, but we're too fucking broke.
Right.
But
The
she
bus
obviously
cost
didn't
like $25 though, didn't it?
Yeah,
That was like
a
a lot of money for
No,
just
it
a
was
pair
They
of
were like
ridiculous.
gloves.
24 and change. Yeah, it was bullshit.
But like at the beginning too, like her mom and dad are working really hard. And she keeps bothering them, and her dad is working in a room just filled with just paper and books and just ridiculous. Like, how much paper do you have to fill up a fucking room? That doesn't matter.
1,000 sheets of paper.
Just 1,000. Totally more than 1,000.
1,000.
Probably billion.
That's one Stephen King book.
Yeah, so there's this secret door, basically, going on in one of the rooms that has yet to be really fucked with in their apartment. And she sees it, it's of course wallpapered over, and her mom gives her the key, or opens the door with the key, and it's just all bricked up. So she thinks it's nothing. And then she goes to sleep, and...
Jumping mice wake her up.
Right. And then it's...
There's actually a rave party going on behind the bridge.
Yeah. And in her dream, apparently, what she thinks it is, she's going through this door into... Basically, it's an alternate universe.
Yeah, where everyone is a doll, I guess.
Where everyone loves her.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
Everyone wants to pay attention to her. The only weird thing is that everyone has buttons for eyes.
Which
is
fuck
really
that
fucking
shit.
Scary.
So
Why would
this
that have
button
not scared the
eyes.
fuck out of her immediately?
Pretty
Run for the
much.
fucking hills. There are people with buttons instead of eyes. They
Yeah.
can still see you.
Well, yeah, also, if you really think about it, like, take out the fact that it's a children's movie, and here's the plot. Girl finds secret doorway to alternate universe. People have soulless eyes. They're made of buttons. They sew buttons into their eyes and take their eyes out, which contain their souls.
Right.
That's fucking nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
So much notes.
It's basically
so much.
Pan's Labyrinth, but animated.
Yeah, this...
Yeah, pretty much.
Which
There
that
was-
was animated too. It's just computer animated.
Whenever she went over to this new world, and it was kind of creepy at first. Like, kind of.
Would you say it's a whole new world?
I would, by Aladdin.
A new
Aladdin himself. He wrote that song.
Okay.
fantastic point of view.
Yeah. Yes.
A dazzling place you never
It's-
knew.
Stop.
Well, I mean, once it gets going,
Right.
let it roll.
Yeah. So at this point when I'm watching the movie, I felt like it was kind of creepy. Like, not so creepy, but then it's almost like there's this violent jolt into just no. Like, you're kind of creeped out, and then you just, the next scene, you're just kind of like, what the fuck is going on, and why am I scared and pissing all over myself?
Well, once you find out that Coraline's nerdy neighbor friend, like his grandmother's sister or something, disappeared in that fucking house,
Right.
and you start kind of putting it together, then you're like, there's some bullshit going on there.
Yeah, there's crazy child abduction because the mom's all like, yeah, stay as long as you like, Coraline. I don't know why she sounds like a Skeksis, but
Honestly, just the very beginning sequence with the credits scared me, with like just the needle hands and like the sewing up the
Yeah.
doll,
Oh, yeah,
taking
yeah.
out the cotton and then putting sand in it instead. That was unsettling as shit.
well, and what makes this movie I think more unsettling is the fact that it's stop motion animation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this had been a
CGI nightmare.
yeah, well, not just CGI, but regular animation, or even like live action. Of course, if I was a child and watching this movie, I would not be nearly as scared as if I watched this movie when I was like 5 years old. There's no way in fucking hell I will put anybody less than probably 11 years old in front of this movie.
Travis watched it with us.
Was he scared?
No, he was fine. He loved
Really?
it. Yeah, he loved it. He loved it, and it didn't bother him.
Oh.
He did think
Because
he
they
did
don't
say that.
identify the extremely fucked up shit that's
Well, yeah,
happening.
but that's because he's too young to realize how fucked up it is.
Well, not only
But
that,
he was like, why do they have button eyes? And I'm sitting there, I want to say,
It's like-
because this shit's fucked up, that's why. But you can't say that to a 7-year-old, you know?
It's like, why do they have button eyes? Good fucking question.
Well, and he
why
really
aren't you
doesn't-
terrified about that?
and he doesn't really understand the fact that they don't have souls, or
Yeah.
like that
that the
being
regular
soulless.
eyes were ripped out and replaced with buttons.
Right, right. Whereas, and new generation of kids aren't really scared by shit. Back when we were younger, everything scared us.
I don't know, Gremlins gave Travis nightmares for like a month.
Really?
It's not scary at all. I guess it just depends who you are and what
Different things
terrifies you
different
personally.
things scare you when you're a kid. Like, there are some things that scare me as an adult that would never scare me as a child.
I think what he might be confusing is like when we were young, a lot of movies, well, just they look very dreamlike, and that pulls you in a lot. I think
Absolutely.
when things are too realistic, which they are with most CGI, it's like oh, this is fake, and there's a clear separation between something fake you're watching and something that looks like you could have thought it up.
Right.
You know?
And that's kind of like I was telling you earlier, Mark. Spot in my childhood that sticks out for me and scared me fucking shitless was when I was probably 5 years old. I walked into my sister's room and there was some crazy, like, it was in the middle of the night.
I don't know if I like where the story's going.
I walked into my sister's room and the only light in the room was the TV. And I looked at the TV and there was a bunch of like creepy stop motion skeletons on the TV, like, dancing, and it was just dark blue light and black, and they were, like, jaws were chattering and shit like that, and I looked over, and, because it scared me, and I looked over and I was like, Becky, and I looked at her, and she was sleeping with her fucking eyes open. So that combination of that, like, just terrified the
So
shit
what
out
you're
of
saying,
me.
Stephen, is you lived a nightmare, crazy monster happening. That's what happened to you.
Yeah, so
So it had nothing to do with what was on
Was she
TV.
grinning?
She was sleeping with
No.
her fucking eyes.
Sleeping with a grin
That's
on her face,
terrifying.
eyes
That is
open.
terrifying.
But what I'm saying is this kind of animation, it's always bothered me. Like, not
It's real screwed up looking. It's so uncanny because it's sort of, it's so fluid but so like jittery at the same time. And it's
Yeah.
shit like you fucking.
Well, your
it's like
brain
you
can
dream
tell
about.
that it has real mass.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
it's
kind
a
of
physical object.
Mm-hmm.
and another thing is like Nightmare Before Christmas. That animation never bothered me or anything like that. But about the first 20 minutes of James and the Giant Peach makes me really uneasy, and I don't know why. Like, obviously, all the real fantasy things about like James and the Giant Peach.
They don't even kick in until about the 20-minute mark.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that first 20 minutes where he's just being treated completely like fucking shit in this gross-looking house.
Oh, and his parents are dead.
They get killed by a rhino. A sky rhino. Yeah, that whole section just, it really made me feel uneasy, and I don't know what it is. I guess it's just me personally. But this movie, I looked at it and I was like, man, if I was little, I would be shitting my pants in fear when watching it. Especially, like, the last 30 minutes of the movie. Because
Oh my God.
it just gets, that's where it makes that jump from just, then it's like kind of scary to just fucking insane. No.
Agreed.
Giant scary spider lady wants to eat your soul and trap your fucking spirit in a tiny bedroom.
Oh yeah, and when she like changes form and like gets all skinny and you can see like her
bones.
her old man Undertaker chest, you know what I'm talking about?
Ooh, yeah.
She had like spines coming out of her dress, like looked like dinosaur kind of crazy things.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
That's actually what Terry Hatcher looks like in real life.
Fair enough.
They made a real puppet out of her.
Right, they just took a bunch of 360 photographs and then they just molded that.
Well, and then the combination with her dad at that point, his like jaw
Mouth.
came down and like he couldn't even talk. He was just like,
And he was apologizing over and over when, oh my
Oh,
god.
he's basically lobotomized.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they
Mother
showed-
doesn't want the strawberry. I was just like,
What about the little kid that she's just like, oh, I've made him not speak?
yeah.
And then never
I really
explained
like it
it.
better that
It's
way.
like, oh, okay.
And then
I
and
thought
then-
the first time I watched it that they'd shown that there were little stitches that you couldn't, like, you couldn't really see unless you got, like, up close.
No. He doesn't
No,
have the
there
stitches.
wasn't.
He doesn't have the stitches until later. She
Later
takes the
when he
stitches
gives him-
out.
No,
Gives
yeah,
him a
no,
proof
because he's
proper.
smiling the
Yeah,
entire
she,
time.
she stitches his face up to smile, but he doesn't have him in the beginning. And then another part that really did it for me was when the fake mother with the button eyes locked Coraline in that closet and like
It wasn't a closet. I thought she jammed her
mirror.
inside of a mirror.
okay, mirror.
In the
I
picture.
thought it was a wall or something. Was it a mirror on the
Yeah.
wall?
It was like at the end of a corridor or something.
Okay, well she goes in there and then that's where all these dead fucking children were. Like that's where the ghosts of these children that have been missing are.
That got their eyeballs ripped out and their souls stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty gross. Buttons sewed in the place of the eyeballs.
And you can still see.
Yeah.
And then she goes on that crazy quest. Like she makes a deal with the monster, basically.
You should find the three.
Three eyes
Yeah.
of the children, the eyeballs of the children that have been taken out and replaced with buttons.
Well, they're ghost eyes. Because they've been replaced with actual objects.
Right.
Well-
I guess their soul is stored in a thing.
Really, you just have to think about the fact that she was not obviously going to go on a quest for 6 individual, like,
Eyeball.
grotesque, like,
Yeah,
eyeball
yeah.
with, like, a,
Those would have long rotted away.
well,
Right.
not only that, but it would have just been
Yeah,
rated R. Like, no way in hell this has been a kid's movie anymore.
The parts where she goes to find the eyeballs too were the objects were absolutely frightening too. All 3 of those
when
scenes.
the fucking like teethy flowers started like grabbing her and trying to pull her down into the well
and
or
the giant
whatever.
circus man with, oh my god, and
Well-
the 2 actresses just it was just I hated it.
And then she throws her hat at those fucking bugs. Like the bugs are flying away with their key or whatever. Or
It
scope.
was her person.
I like-
No, it was her like her
No.
cap, wasn't it?
I think
No, I don't think she had a hat on.
Oh, I thought it was.
I think
that
it was a
crazy
purse.
hat.
She just threw it in there.
I like that each one of the nightmare retrieving an eye sequences was set up by a previous sequence where it was she was in that same location with.
But it was like happy instead.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a
Like
tremendous
the happy
fantasy.
garden and the happy circus, and everybody's
And-
having a good time and eating
And the
cotton
weird old
candy.
ladies that split their bodies open and then they're thin.
Yeah.
No.
They just like unzipped themselves.
Well, I think that's the only way they could have got away with
What's
the
really-
fact that they really were practically naked, and it was gross.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a
Coraline didn't even. She was just like, seriously. The first mermaid woman, she was just like, wow, she's hardly wearing anything, and then the next person was literally just pasties.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
ooh.
And she was playing with her tits.
Yeah, they were
What is this,
huge.
Raven?
They were like quadruple the
PG.
size of her head.
Yeah.
That's how they
I
got
can't
away
believe
with it.
it's
They got.
PG.
It's like,
They
oh, these
unzipped.
are suits. They were because
And if you
underneath
notice,
they were
actually,
like spandex shit.
In that scene, their eyes were regular eyes, like until they unzipped, and then they had
Yeah.
button eyes. And I was thinking while I was watching it, what the hell? Like, why do these people not have button eyes? But then they did. They just were underneath of the crazy fat tit suits.
Fat tits.
Norbit suits.
Well, this was nominated for an Oscar, so
So it's
But
the same
not
thing
for
as
best,
Laura.
but not for best makeup or effects.
that's true. I really want to read the book because maybe I guess I'm just too stupid, but there's a lot of underlying themes with this movie that I don't get, and I don't know whether it's a Neil Gaiman thing. Like
Like
I
what?
wasn't treated right as a child, so I went to a different place in my mind type of underlying
It's
story.
Pretty much what
Alice
it
in
is. Like,
Wonderland.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's
the
kind
same.
of a similar story to Alice in Wonderland, and Neil Gaiman does a lot of that stuff. Like where, and the Graveyard Book is kind of like that too, where it's a certain world is where we live, but there's another one that you think might be better, but it's really not. You know,
be quick
But
for what
you
you wish
have to-
for type shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it says in the poster.
Oh, the poster.
Well, I mean, if you look the movie up on IMDb,
Oh, is there a
it shows the movie
tagline?
poster, and it's like, "Be careful what you wish for."
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Even though I don't think she ever actually wished for it, she was just like, "Huh, I wonder what there is in this
Yeah,
store."
there was no Home Alone. I wish I'd wake up and my parents would be gone.
Well,
I
that's
wish I'd wake up and the whole house would just be a gory monster scene, just blood and guts everywhere, nobody left alive. It's like, okay.
and I hope I have a spider for a mom. I can't wait for that.
Well,
Let's get
That'd be my
needles
favorite.
too.
Stab out
Yeah.
my eyes.
This is a little more subtle than Home Alone because it's like you can
Right,
tell
yeah,
that
giant
she
spiders
did want.
are subtle.
Yeah,
She didn't
yeah.
want to be paid attention to and to have fun with her parents and shit like that. But
But she didn't have to like come right out and go, "I wish I was being paid attention to
Yeah.
right now."
yeah,
Yeah, which was better. I agree.
it was good though. I really enjoyed
yeah.
the movie. I've never seen it before today.
I enjoy this way more than my girlfriend punched me in the face for saying this than Nightmare Before Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, I like it a lot better. First and foremost, there's no fucking singing. There's no musical numbers, so it's
There
a
kind
movie.
of is though. There's
Yeah,
like
There's
there
like one.
there's
Yeah.
two.
there's two,
But it's more of like it's the women doing the play,
Or
the
wait,
acting.
there's
so
three.
and the
No,
dad
so
sings.
the dad
Yeah.
sings whenever she first gets to the alternate universe.
Mhm.
He sings a song
Right.
that he made up about Coraline.
But the difference
Or he's
is
warning
that
that
it's
too.
not a musical.
It's not. I
It's just him
not
singing
built
to
around
He's
it.
singing
Yeah.
a song. Hey, I wrote you a song. That's cool. I can
And-
see that. It's not people going, "Hey, how's it going? Go fuck yourself." It's none of that shit.
Well,
It's
Mark
not
just has no
everybody's
imagination.
talking.
That's why he can't watch.
I don't have that. It makes it way too
You
unrealistic.
just don't
to
like
me.
musicals.
I fucking hate them.
that's
With
all.
a
That's all it
fiery
boils down
fucking
to.
passion.
You don't
They're
have
so
a soul.
stupid.
Because you can't
yes,
just
I do. I
suspend
don't have button
disbelief that
eyes.
obviously people aren't going to just start singing in the middle of the street. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
You can just pretend that it could happen.
But I could see
Yeah, you
musical.
can't.
I can believe
You're just
Giant
too
Spider
fucking
Lady
lazy.
more than I would believe a bunch of people just run out in the middle of the road and start singing about what the fuck's
But which
going
one
on.
of those is more realistic, Mark?
Giant Spider Ladies.
No.
But I can see.
I've seen what Terry Hatcher looks like.
I can see musical in an animated film way better than I could see it in a live action film.
I think it works either way. I think you just have to
Muppets is
suspend
so
disbelief that obviously they're
Muppets
just.
have Muppets in them, Lisa.
Exactly.
Like it's not just a bunch of random people. running
Muppets
on
always
sequel.
were musicals, though, and that's why I like that. Whereas this stop motion thing, I can't get into it. I just can't get into the musical animated features. I can deal with a couple songs here and there, and that's probably why I don't like as many Disney movies as I probably would. I mean, if a bunch of Disney movies yanked the songs out, I'd probably love them.
Then they'd be like 12
They'd be
minutes
terrible
long.
and awful.
Hater.
I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean,
Me too.
it's probably my favorite
Stop
stop motion. You know, I like Paranorman a lot. I like I like Coraline a lot.
That's
I
about
was
it.
mentioning this to you earlier, but Paranorman, I had no idea it was stop motion until you told me. It was so freaking fluid.
And then you got the Box Trolls coming out soon
Gosh.
too, and that's Henry Selick as well, I think, or at least some special effects people that worked with him.
Well, pretty much anybody doing stop motion has worked with Henry Selick.
Yeah.
I mean, the director of the next one worked on Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah. So let's move to
Or the
next
co-director.
Well, I would
Right?
imagine there's not just a whole lot of like stop motion, film companies just hanging out out
Well, I
there.
mean,
And
it's
you know
a
what?
really expensive art.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think the
And
reason that
insanely
it's not so
time-consuming.
the reason it's not so abundant is because people aren't fucking patient enough to do it,
Well, I mean,
Like,
it's
or
just,
talented enough.
It's
maybe.
not patient enough. They don't want. It's just not as profitable. Like, think of how much more time you have to spend. Like you were saying earlier, it takes 3 months to make one of these fucking
Right.
just one of these models.
But
like,
the payoff is so fucking huge on some of these movies.
If
I mean,
it's
well,
a
I mean,
hit,
it's a
it
huge
would.
payoff, but you could get just as much payoff by making a remake of fucking
right,
RoboCop.
right. Like
It's a risk versus reward.
what you
thing.
said. Like what you said, it has to do with laziness. It has to do with
Wanting to put forth the effort to make something unique, as opposed to just wanting to make a shitload of money.
and that's a lot of the reason that I have respect for these stop motion directors is because they are putting in the effort.
They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for a shitload of money.
Yeah. Well, they're putting in the effort to be unique. They're putting in. I mean, there's no other fucking movie out there that's like Coraline.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no other movie that is fucking The Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, it is that movie will.
One that tries, man.
Yeah, right. But what I'm saying is Nightmare Before Christmas will forever go down as the only one of its kind that is as big as it is. I mean, it's how many years old now?
It's over.
It's over 20
It came
years
out in
old.
like 92, 93.
And
I
it's
would say
and it's
early
one of
90s.
the biggest fucking Disney movies ever done.
Yeah.
Ever.
And the thing is that like with Disney, you can see they will go, yes, let's do that because that's Disney. They're unique, they're different. They want to make an art form that everyone's going to love forever. That's what they want to do. Whereas other companies that would have put out stop motion films, like the ones that did Paranorman and Corpse Bride and all the others, there's such a huge risk versus reward for it.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is literally going to take us 3 or 4 years to make this movie. So it's going to take so long that by the time it comes out, even though the budget is probably much lower than it would be to make a huge Hollywood blockbuster because it's not going to cost them $300 million to make it,
Right.
it's still so time-consuming that it's not worth the reward because if it bombs, it bombs back.
To those people that make it.
Yeah.
I mean, but people like Ray Harryhausen, who there's younger film critics out there and people who do these podcasts and stuff like that don't have a fucking clue who Ray Harryhausen is. Not a clue. Never even heard of him. What the fuck has he ever done? He is like
He's only the reason stop motion pretty much exists.
exists.
Well, it existed before him, but he really made it. He made it something because he.
Well, he was a great modeler.
Well, yeah, that and he used a split screen technique that lets you have foreground objects. He basically developed masking for the.
To make it look more
Yeah,
real.
To make it look
Masking
like
in
there could be an
digital
actor
software.
on a screen with a giant monster where you couldn't go, oh, that's definitely fucking green screen. There was depth.
So he basically pioneered the entire.
Yeah, you made it anything.
Exactly, and I'm just really glad that there's at least one fucking director out there that still does this shit. Because I feel like 20 years from now, if this guy's dead, there won't be any more stop motion.
Hats off to Henry Selick.
I mean, do you guys agree with that? Do you think that
totally.
you think it's
I
gonna
don't
be
think
around
he'll
in
be
20
dead
years?
in 20 years.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you never know, but then again, think about the amount of stop motion now compared to, say, the 60s. Almost everything back in the 60s, like children's specials, Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Well,
Reindeer,
now they're all
everything was
Right.
stop motion.
Yeah.
Now it's really piss poor ABC Saturday morning reboot CGI.
And sci-fi.
Yeah, it's awful.
And it's
they don't
because
do it
that's what
anymore.
they can afford.
Right.
I mean, that's what they could afford before because that was the only technology there was.
Well, and they have like a certain deadline where they have to shovel this fucking shit out.
Oh, yeah.
Where they don't have time to have any kind of creative mind go in there and say, hey, what do you think we should maybe do some stop motion and make this fucking good? Oh, there's no way we could ever afford number one or have the time to do that number two.
Well, I don't think every show should be stop motion.
No, I don't
honestly.
either,
It's
but-
very. It has a really creepy look to it, and it really only works for creepy type stuff. I think there's not even Gumby. which has no creepiness at all in it.
It's
I've
creepy.
always thought was super creepy to watch.
yeah.
So it's got its own niche, and that's probably another reason why it's not so widespread.
Like that one part in the Gumby movie where they get put in, I think it was like a giant oven,
Yeah.
and then they got mixed up. You
It's
know what I'm
real
talking about? Oh my
gross.
gosh, that scared me so much when I was
like,
little.
Henson did stop motion too, didn't he, on certain things?
I don't know.
Like Eureka's Castle, remember the slurms and shit off that? Wasn't that all stop motion?
I don't
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I
That
can't
might
believe
have
they
been-
were called the
There
Slurs.
wasn't a whole lot of stop motion, but I mean there was a little bit in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and that was Jim Henson. They did the special effects for that.
Yeah.
So I mean there's a little, but not much. It's definitely. I mean you can go back and look at any stop motion that might have appeared in a Jim Henson movie. It's not good.
Right.
It's not good. Like his puppetry was amazing, and when he tried to mix it up with other things, didn't really work out too well.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make of this is I can't name more than one or two people that fucking do stop motion now, and I'm wondering, do you guys think this is going to be around in 20
I
years?
think I would agree that
I
it's
think there will always
basically
be
a
somebody
dying art
doing it
form.
because it's something. It has its own niche. Like I said, it's has its own unique creepiness that's not going to be achieved by any other animation or any other filming style.
So you don't
like
think
that.
it'll ever
I
completely
don't
die?
think it's going to go. No, I mean really nothing does. There's always somebody that appreciates it and understands that.
I guess I just
it's
feel like
different
it's
from
dwindled, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
well, yeah,
Definitely
it's dwindled,
dwindled.
but it's just simply because of new technology. It doesn't mean it's going to go. Comic books haven't disappeared, and even libraries still exist. The internet's been here for 20 years.
But also at
Hand-drawn
the same
anime-
time, like look at the differences between look at Paranorman and the animation style in that, where you can barely tell that it is stop motion. Whereas if you look at Coraline, you look at Corpse Bride, you look at Nightmare Before Christmas and all those, and it's stop motion. There's a certain feel to it. Like I feel like Paranorman was, and maybe that's why I didn't like it.
I think they cleaned it up too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Because-
overproduced.
Well,
They
they
digitally
definitely have, and
enhanced it to-
we always throw James and the Giant Peach in here. We keep leaving that one out, but the
Yeah.
fucking stop motion in that movie is fantastic.
It's especially creepy.
And
Yeah.
didn't that come out? That came out like the year after Nightmare Before Christmas. didn't it?
Yeah. And that is one that is overlooked a lot, is James and the Giant Peach. But once again, Henry Selick movie. So we'll go ahead and move on to your favorite movie ever, Mark. Corpse Bride.
By
from
your favorite
2005.
director?
By your favorite director.
Writer, I should say.
Yeah, well, director too.
Yeah.
Well,
He
co-director.
directed it, right?
Yes.
Well,
Burton directed this.
Him and a guy named Mike Johnson, who his only other directing credit was working on The PJs.
Oh, that just made Mark more
You
mad.
see, there was that show, the PJs.
Yeah.
That was like stop motion animation, but
But that was a huge failure. 'cause
yeah,
Oh,
because
it was
because
fucking terrible.
It was tried to be a comedy, and it was once again just
Who was
gross
the
looking.
actor in the PJs? Who was the main? Was it Martin Lawrence?
No, it was Eddie Murphy.
Oh, it was Eddie Murphy. Okay, I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, who do you think it was? Who hasn't made anything good in 25 years?
I haven't even heard of this.
So on
It's
top
really
of that,
terrible.
It's
on
about
top of
the-
that,
about
it's,
the project.
it's Mark's favorite duo of an actor and actress, and that would be Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. His favorites.
Your face.
But I will say my favorite voice actor in the movie has to be Christopher Lee as the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a preacher, and he's just hilarious.
But I mean,
It's Christopher Lee.
Learn your vows, boy. I'm just like, fuck yes. I'm like, and then between doing this movie, he went and drank some blood so he could get about 16 years younger.
I like to think they literally dug him up to do this role.
Oh no, Mark has said it 1,000 times that when Christopher Lee does movies, he doesn't even know that he's in the movie.
he just thinks he's living in ancient medieval
The
times.
dude fucking recorded a heavy metal album when he was 88.
It's not really a heavy metal album.
But doesn't
At least the parts
matter.
that I've heard.
But it doesn't matter. It's the fact that he did a hard rock album where people are like, Christopher, do you want to sing on this?
Yes.
Do you think you can leave the house? No.
I think you're making
Johnny
it
Depp
up.
will be there. Yeah. Okay.
So Corpse Bride was like the huge release after Nightmare Before Christmas came out, where everybody was like, "Oh
It's gonna
shit,
be the next
this is going to be the
Nightmare Before
next Nightmare
Christmas."
Before Christmas."
Tim Burton is doing another stop motion. Let's put that fucking stop motion dick in our mouths.
Right. Well, and they did, because
Yeah,
this was
hard.
huge when it came out.
Oh yeah, it was marketed everywhere. There was a poster every 6 feet. There were toys and
It was
stands and
not-
everything.
Like, it was all you could find in Hot Topic.
And
and
this-
then it took a big shit.
I've got an idea. You combine this movie and the PJs, The Clump's Bride.
The
Yes!
Call that Mike Johnson guy. He's not busy.
Yeah. I don't remember who I went and saw this in theaters with. I may have been Philip. Phil, did we go see this in theaters?
I went and saw it in a theater, so you may have been like, "Hey, let's go see this in theaters." I was like, "Let's see
Oh
this."
yeah, that was me.
It was you because I didn't want to see this. I was like, "Oh, this looks like a fucking crazy cheap knockoff."
Yeah, I don't think I think I went and saw it with a girl, but I don't remember.
What I'm saying is, I think we double dated, and I think you were like, "Hey, let's go see Corpse Bride," and I was like, "I don't think so."
I remember going to see it and just not being very impressed. I
Well,
remember
that's
walking out
because
of the theater.
it's after Tim Burton jumped the shark. After 2003, when Big Fish came out, he did the whole, I don't know what else to do, so let's go redo what I've already done.
Or do what other people have done better.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp plays the lead character in this, who is Johnny Depp puppet.
Yeah, that's exactly what he fucking looks like.
Yeah, he does look like, and honestly, his voice acting in this movie is one of the only things that I like about it, besides maybe one of the musical numbers that's in it, and the colorations that they use in the
imagery is great.
I feel like this movie was stop motion Sweeney Todd.
What?
No, I don't really see that.
I don't know about
Did you
that.
see Sweeney Todd?
Enough to turn it off. Turn it the fuck off. I mean, I'm talking about everything had the same color scheme.
Well,
and
no,
it's
see,
very
the
That's
point
just
behind that,
and-
though...
Well, I understand the point behind that because goth. So, but
No, what they were
No,
trying to
it's
do...
It's the difference between the world of the living and the world of the dead, but the world of the living is so much more vibrant and beautiful because the world of the
Really?
But the world of the living
No,
is
he
still
mixed
really,
it up. He was
and the
saying,
world of the dead
well, that
is
was the whole
more
point.
lively because all these people are living their quote-unquote lives and
They
like,
don't give a fuck.
you know, like going by what they're, you know, arranged marriages and stupid shit like that, and it's like that's not how you should live.
And that's why everybody in the Land of the Dead was just partying
yeah,
out,
they were
basically.
just fucking Mardi Gras down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there were things about the movie that I liked.
tall Lord Farquaad.
Yeah.
Those chins! Fucking chins! I mean, even in Coraline, too. Like, the crazy circus man, just giant chin.
Ooh.
I don't understand. Yeah, just like this big!
These giant moon.
Victoria,
Bruce
the
Campbell chins.
like the hero.
Well,
the
that's
hero.
kind of a villain
Oh my
thing, I feel
God.
like, in all animation. Look at Gaston, look at Captain Hook, look at,
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. Humongous Jay Leno chin. That's what I put in my notes.
Lord
It's
Lord
ridiculous.
Farquaad from Shrek. I mean, look at villains in animation, and it's almost like they always have this giant, pretentious chin.
It's like, look at
Look,
my chin.
yeah,
I could kill you with it.
You can't look above the bottom of my
I
chin.
think it depends on their stature in like their place in society. It's like if it's an
that's cool.
authority figure, you have a large chin.
Yeah, because he's a lord in Corpse Bride, and he's got a giant chin.
If you're like a crazy type villain, then you are asymmetric in some way.
Are we gonna talk about the
Like
plot of this at all, or are we
Yes.
just gonna shit on
No
it?
one cares. No one cares what the plot is.
Okay,
It was
that's
not
fine.
as good as I remember it to be.
I thought the plot was interesting.
Oh yeah, the
I
concept.
don't
The
know.
storyline was excellent for this.
And
And
I
Yeah,
thought-
that's what
I was-
even I said that.
When I watched it the first time, I remember thinking the whole time through, I'm just watching it and just trying to decide who I even want Johnny Depp's character to end up with at the end. Like, do I want him to end up with the undead chick, or the person he was betrothed to marry?
right. And Tim Burton did write it. I just looked. I didn't know whether he was the one that did the writing for it or not, but he did write it, and I do appreciate the storyline. It was good, and like I said earlier, the imagery was fantastic. I love the blue. They use a lot of blues and purples in this, and it meshes really well with the paleness of the living world, and then the contrast of the blues and purples is awesome. And they use a lot of that same color and imagery that they use in Nightmare Before Christmas during like the Oogie Boogie scenes, where like
Right.
the
Trippy.
skeletons,
yeah, where there's just neon greens and neon oranges and stuff like that.
Mr.
Where it's
Bone
still kinda-
Jangles.
where it's still kind of creepy, but it's still kind of partyish at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Danny Elfman sings.
Yes.
Well, that's my favorite part of the movie is the Mr. Bone Jangles song right in the middle with all the skeletons and everything. That's my favorite song. Like the first song in the movie is piss poor. I thought that to open up a movie with that song,
Yeah, that was one of the
That
things that
killed
really
it for me.
ruined it for me when I
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, well, it's got some, I can only go up from here, I guess. But
yeah,
Well, I think that's one of the musical things because with Nightmare Before Christmas, there's a little bit before it gets to the singing, so you kind of get to go, ooh, yay, it's a movie. But the Corpse Bride, it's like the second that it starts, it just pops, bam, singing immediately, and I'm like, what's going on?
well,
Why
and
are
it's
they-
a bad song.
Yeah.
Like it'd be
Why are
different if
they
it was a
singing?
nice,
Yeah.
catchy, like.
if it didn't suck,
Well, no. It not only was it a bad song, not only was it pale and and drab colors, which is fine if you didn't have the bad song, but then you have unlikable characters.
Mm-hmm.
So you're mixing three things that kind of
And you also don't understand it. Like when you were talking about how the world of the living is the dark, drab, and dreary, you don't understand why they're singing that until later in the movie. You're like, oh, it's because fuck everything and slit wrists, goth.
And everything's fixed marriage and everybody's miserable,
Right.
and shit like that. And then I kind of perked up a little bit once Christopher Lee came on there because I found that whole section just amusing. Where
Because Christopher Lee.
well, and Johnny Depp's character was just a bumbling fucking idiot. Like how can you not? He's holding that ring because he's gonna get married to this woman, and he's holding a ring and just can't even hold a ring. Like all he has to do is be stationary and hold a ring.
And it would make more sense. Okay, he's met the girl that he's supposed to marry.
Right.
It's like, well, just now, but he already knows. It's like, okay, I was worried about this before. If you're not worried about it, stop being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
I mean, it's not like you could possibly fuck up and she would say no because she didn't have any fucking free will.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you fuck up, so fuck it.
Exactly.
And speaking of Harryhausen, they actually do a tribute to Harryhausen in Corpse Bride. Like I noticed when Johnny Depp's puppet's playing on the
Victor.
Johnny Depp it.
Victor is his name. Yeah, when Victor's playing on the piano, the brand of piano is Harryhausen. So
Yeah.
they make it like a little tribute to him there. And actually, Coraline made a tribute to the Ranth brothers, who actually did a lot of animation for Nightmare Before Christmas. So
And their moving truck had a graffiti on it that said "Stop
StopMo.
Rulz."
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah, because it does. But like you said, he's in an arranged marriage basically, and Christopher Lee is the preacher and just says, "Nope, not happening. You're too much of a fuck up for this to happen today.
Go learn your
So
fucking vows.
go
and
learn
come
your
back
vows,
here."
come back, and we'll do this again." So he basically just takes a walk through the creepiest forest ever.
Because that's what you do when you're about to
Yeah.
get married.
Yeah.
Of course.
Is
And-
walk through the rape forest.
And then all of a sudden he's like the most confident guy ever because he's by himself.
Well, he was out of the situation. He didn't want to be there.
Right. And then he puts his ring on
On
what
a
he
root.
thinks is a root.
Clearly a finger.
It's very clearly a decrepit
Well, he's
hand.
obviously a fucking idiot. Like that's, I mean, just the whole movie, everything he does, you're just like, okay, he's doing that now. I'm gonna fuck him.
Yeah.
You know, to hell with this.
I'm going to point out how well Johnny Depp plays a fucking idiot in the movie. Like, I mean, he does it really fucking well. I mean, he plays a fucking idiot to a T.
He's very bumbling, is what I noticed, and that was fine because I really didn't feel like Victor had that many lines in the movie. I didn't feel like he talked all that
They're
much.
really short lines.
It's
I
mostly
feel
just
like.
He's doing a very Hugh Grant kind of thing.
Hugh Grant.
You know how he is in a movie where he's
With his
being,
teeth.
he's
Oh,
being yeah.
With his teeth. Yeah, I felt the same way. But once again, it kind of lured me back in with imagery because then he goes down to the land of the dead, and that fucking bar just looked like the most fun place ever. By the way, even though they were drinking poison and there was spiders everywhere, I guess.
I feel like that's.
You'd never go there. You'd open the door, go nope, and then leave.
I feel like that's the pace of the whole movie. It's like it starts out shitty, and then you're like, oh, that's kind of funny. That the Christopher Lee part, and then it's like, why is he such a worthless piece of crap? And
Yeah.
you're just like confused, and he never gets any better.
Really?
He does.
No,
He really does.
he's just this pain in the ass the whole movie, and you're just by the
Well,
end you're
and
just
he
like,
doesn't even
well,
save
that was
the
a
day.
big waste of time. No, he doesn't at all.
You know,
He's pretty worthless.
I did love the twist
Of course,
that
the movie is called Corpse Bride, not Johnny Depp is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, Johnny Depp marries a dead
Johnny
bitch.
Depp
Yeah.
plays dumbass.
So they decide that whenever he goes to the land of the dead,
Moss.
he's basically missing, and they decide that now.
It's like, well, he's been gone for at least 25 minutes. We're gonna have to betroth this bitch to somebody else.
Yeah, Lord Farquaad.
Well, the
Tall
reason
Lord Farquaad.
the reason for that is because the each family is trying to scam the other family.
To get
Right.
money.
Oh, after this
one
marriage goes
status
through, we're
and the
going
other
to
one
steal
won't.
all their money.
Right.
It's basically
We're
the,
gonna be rich.
the plot of the
Nobody
Titanic.
has any
Yeah.
fucking money.
Yeah. And Victor and what's the corpse bride's name?
Emily.
Victor and Emily decide that they're going to go back up to the land of the living, and everything is going to be fixed or whatever. But then he finds out that she's going to get married, so they're going to go up, and he's going to die. He's going to drink.
He's going to kill himself.
He's going to kill himself
Because
so
they,
he can marry
they can't
her.
really
That's
be
it.
married. It's null and void because whenever till
Because-
death do you part
Right,
means
right.
he can't possibly
And
be
who
married.
was
since
who was
she's
the
dead.
the elder?
That was Alfred.
Alfred, yeah,
from-
Michael Gould.
Yeah, from the all the Batman movies from the 90s.
There's
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, and he was the elder, and I don't know why he had a beard because he didn't have any other hair or skin.
Because when you're an elder, you have to have some sort of facial hair.
Well, also, your hair doesn't biodegrade as fast as your other
But he
tissue.
didn't have any
We
other
need
hair.
something to know that he's old.
Yeah. Well,
Just
he
slap
didn't
a
have
bear
any
on him.
teeth. Yeah, he just
He had this sunken in old man skull.
Yeah, and he was like.
Well, maybe he lost his teeth before he died.
I think that was my favorite part, was finding out that Alfred did the voice, and I was like, this movie's
Mark, you weren't
butt.
even in the
Your
room
favorite
for
part of
half
the
the
movie
time.
was
I don't
when you were
have
on
to be.
IMDb after the movie.
Right. It's like, this sucks. Whose voice is that? I know who it is.
I will agree with Alisa on the fact that it's not as bad as you're saying it is, because you haven't watched it in a while and you weren't in the room for a lot of it
Fuck
today.
you, Mark.
Yeah, it's still bad.
It's not great. It's not even
It
good.
just has uneven pacing, like I was saying earlier, and it just has a lot of things that fuck it up.
I see it a lot as like putting air in and out of a balloon. Like it kind of swells a little bit and you like it, and then it's like, and then a little bit more, and then less and less air each
those
time
are
it
not
goes
the kinds
on.
of dynamics you want in a
Well,
film.
that's
Yeah.
because it has bad pacing as a film. It has bad pacing. It's just, there's shit going on, then nothing. And there's shit going on, then singing, and then there's nothing. Then there's something. And then the constant changing of imagery, psychologically, that's going to fuck with you. You go from nasty, disgusting, gray, gross, and dismal mud all the time to bright colors.
Right.
And it's just, you're going to go up and down. So you'll feel good about the movie for a second, then come back. So Tim Burton and other guy who made the PJs decided to make a movie to make you feel as shitty as they do all the time.
Right.
When they're, what did you call it, docking?
So that was Robert Smith from The Cure, docking with
Here
Tim
we
Burton.
go.
It definitely wasn't as good as I remember it to be. Like, I was obsessed with this movie when it came out.
I hated it more the first time I saw it than I do now.
I think if I were to be me now and go back to 2005 and watch it, I would like it more. Because all this bullshit with Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, like, hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
That doesn't color my image of the movie. I feel like it's just an okay movie. That's all
Yeah,
there is to it.
exactly. It's okay.
It's
Like
not the
it just
extravagant.
didn't hit all the points it needed to, even though they had their Hollywood formula out, most likely looking it over and making sure that all the stereotypes were checked. It just didn't happen. So.
Well, and there's no memorable. It's a musical.
Yeah.
And there's no memorable.
There's no great
music
musical
in it.
numbers.
Just
And
one.
like I could tell you every fucking song from Nightmare Before Christmas,
Right.
and probably sing most of them.
All the characters in this are just so.
Meh.
Like
Yeah.
that's probably why they added so many giant chins and stuff to try to make you maybe think of any of them ever again.
Yeah.
But the characters from Nightmare Before Christmas are just so dynamic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's nobody in this movie that I can say I even like even a smidgen as close to like Oogie Boogie and Jack and
Any of
Sally and Zero. And they even try to do like Welfare Zero in this movie too.
Yeah,
Welfare Zero!
Well, that's
Yeah.
just like I said, it's that perfect Hollywood formula. They go to the same exact story every single fucking time, and it's ridiculous. And Tim Burton has always done it. With every love story type movie that he's ever done, it's always the gothic version of Romeo and Juliet, where a man and a woman who are in love who can't be in love. And that's what it always is. He's just very unoriginal, but he's unique in being unoriginal.
I mean, that was one of the only things I liked about this movie was that it seemed to me like it wasn't so cut and dry who he was going to end up with, and he did eventually end up with the person I didn't think he was going to be with,
Right.
like the living woman, and so he was I guess he was confused about who he wanted to marry at some point.
Yeah, because he was going to marry
kill himself and marry
her.
And marry
Right. Well, they had that moment when they were playing the piano together.
Well,
when they really connected.
I think that's another thing that kind of ruins the movie. It's like, make your fucking mind up, Johnny Depp. Like, who do you fucking like? You fell in love instantly with this other chick, and then all of a sudden you're trying to bang this corpse.
No, by the end of the movie, and you want him to be with the corpse bride.
Right.
Like when they have that to me is the most important part of the movie is when they have that integral connection when they're playing the piano.
Oh my God.
You're like, he connects with this woman so much better than this other woman that he doesn't really even have any kind of connection with whatsoever, except for the fact that he knows her and they're supposed to be married anyway, and he likes her. You don't see any of that connection. I mean, it's supposedly there, and that's why he likes her so much. But in this movie, the real connection you see is him finally realizing, man, I really have a connection with this corpse bride, and you feel like the only bit of emotion that I felt in this movie was when they're arguing back and forth, and he looks at her and goes, "I'd never marry you anyway." Well, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, fuck, that's deep. Like,
That's some
Fuck.
stone cold shit.
yeah, it is. It's like I know. It's like I know what he meant. Or no, he goes, "I could never marry you," and it's like I know what he meant. Like he couldn't marry her because she's fucking dead. But you know that she took that as fuck.
You, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's
That's you rotted bitch.
and at this point in the movie is when it turns and you're like, you know, I think that he enjoys his undeadness way more than he enjoyed being alive. And so this is where I want him to end up. And then they fucking don't do that.
No.
And you're like, well, fuck this movie.
This movie
Because
is
Tim Burton.
This movie is Tim Burton's version of a suicide solution. You ever heard that Ozzy Osbourne song where
Oh, okay.
supposedly
Yeah.
said, like kill yourself or something like that?
Well, and then the last scene
It's
of
pretty
the
much
movie,
the same exact story as Edward Scissorhands.
well, and then the last scene of the movie is actually, isn't it like frame for frame pretty much the last battle in Hamlet?
Yeah, it's definitely an allusion to that.
Yeah,
if
that's-
nothing else.
That's what I thought. And then the Corpse Bride, of course, basically she doesn't sacrifice herself, but well, yeah, she
She's
gets
in peace.
she gets
She
stabbed
becomes
for him.
avenged,
Right.
and then she is set free from being a ghost.
And that's another thing I liked about the movie was the twist they used where Tall Lord Farquaad was
her
husband
original
that
husband
killed her.
Yeah.
and then he drinks the frothy brew.
Unbeknownst to him was
Dead juice,
poison.
as you called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the fucking dead people. Brady's like, "What are they gonna do to him? He's already dead." I mean,
You know
like,
what?
they're like, "Ah."
You're gonna torture his soul, make him eat pineapples whole.
You know what?
That would really hurt.
Had they done nothing, the exact same ending. Follow me on this. They have an arranged marriage. If they just do nothing but go through that with that marriage, okay, they get the same ending.
Yeah.
Eventually, that guy is going to die.
Yeah.
So she's going to turn into butterflies and fly away, and he's going to go to hell. Same fucking ending if they take no action. That is shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
And-
Because fuck Tim Burton.
And then at
It's
this-
obviously just Tim Burton's fault,
and then
not the PJs.
not the PJs guy. At this point,
Tim Burton wrote it.
That guy was doing
You're
the heavy
right.
lifting, you know.
he was a co-writer. There was other writers. Lisa, you may have brought this up whenever all the people from the dead come up to the living world, and everybody's freaking the fuck out, and
And they didn't do
they're not even
anything.
doing
They're
anything.
just walking around and being like, I mean, they look scary, yeah, but they didn't do anything. It's just.
and they're like, "Oh my god!"
And finally, when that little boy realizes that's his grandpa, they're like, oh, it's all good.
Yeah,
You know? Like,
yeah. And even the guy sees his ancestor. What's he say? He goes, "My uncle so and so would be rolling around in his grave if he saw this." And the dude's like standing next to his picture, and he's like, "Where's the champagne?"
where do you keep the spirits?
So fucking
Pretty
good.
much.
But
DeHart has mentioned this a couple of times on different podcasts, and that it's not that the movie is terrible; it's just not well done.
Right.
Yes.
And as he said, you know, with
It
doing
could've been
we were
so
talking about
much
remakes and reboots, and DeHart said something. It's like, if you're gonna do something, do it well. Yeah, and that's the problem I have with most Tim Burton shit now, is he just follows his perfect formula that he's been using for almost 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
With the exception of 2 or 3 movies. And that is it. And the thing is like, Tim Burton has this, and I love the fact that he has his own feel. He has his own look.
well, he's
You know
very
a
unique.
Tim Burton
Well,
movie.
he's very unique in and it's huge. And I'm not saying this to offend you at all. I'm just saying this because you just don't happen to like his shit. But there are millions of fucking people that love everything that he puts out, and my wife included. I mean, she loves the majority of everything that he puts out.
If a Tim Burton movie comes out, I will definitely go watch it in
Yeah.
theaters because I know it's going to be visually stunning.
I mean, he's one of those directors that you know it's him, and nobody else can touch him in that category.
Right.
You look at that and you say, "That's Tim Burton. Nothing will ever be Tim Burton." And
Mark's just bitter because Tim Burton's awesome. And
You jelly
Mark
bros?
sucks.
I need more, I need
have-
more peanut butter for that jelly.
I enjoy a lot of Tim Burton's. I actually enjoy more of Tim Burton's movies
then you
than I don't.
Oh, you fucking love the Batman.
But
Two
yeah.
first Batman movies.
Yeah, I do. I hate them more now. Going back, like
Yeah,
being
they're
more of a,
pretty dated now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not even dated. It's just the fact that he didn't even know what the fuck Batman was.
right. But
But-
you look at like
Beetlejuice is awesome.
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee, awesome.
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Ed Wood.
And Ed Wood is real weird. I haven't seen that in a long time. I need to watch it again.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Edward Scissorhands is good. Big Fish is awesome. That's my favorite Tim Burton movie, and it's the movie that's least like any other Tim Burton movie.
Right.
And I think that's
Well,
why I
think
love it.
Mars Attacks is at least like
It still
I
has.
had no
it still
idea
has
Mars
a,
Attacks
it
was
still
by
has a
Tim
few
Burton.
Tim Burton feels to it. Like
Right.
I think the Martians were Tim Burton.
Well, I think Big Fish has way more Burton themes than Mars
You can
Attacks
tell with
does.
certain parts in that, like the circus scenes with Danny DeVito. That's Tim Burton.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything else, it's not really very Tim Burton. But I enjoy more of his shit than I don't enjoy. But the thing is that like now, it's like it hit the year 2000, and he went, "All right, let's start over again."
Well, the stuff that he's doing now is so bad in comparison to the stuff
Well,
that
it's
he
all just
did.
remakes and just shit to
Exactly.
make a lot of
And-
money.
and-
It's like, stop.
He's remaking his own
Well,
movies.
listen.
Frankenweenie.
This is my Frankenweenie is fantastic. By the
But
way,
the remake of it?
it's great.
The original Frankenweenie was so good, though.
This one holds up just as much, in my opinion. It's a full length movie. It's stop
Well,
motion.
Frankenweenie wasn't full length. It was like 35
Right,
minutes.
that's what I'm
Was it
saying.
even
But-
that long?
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
It was
like,
long at all,
yeah.
but it didn't need to be that long. It was a really bad. And I'm not shitting on him for remaking his own movie. It's like he can do whatever he
Well,
wants.
no, and plus it was a short. You know, why not just
Why not
make it
make
on
it
a
a
It
full
had the
movie?
kid from the Neverending Story in it. And it had a real dog. I remember being a kid and being fucking sad when Frankenweenie got ran
Well,
over.
and the new
Right.
one's sad. It's not a happy story at first.
Yeah,
And-
but I also get it's harder to connect to stop motion
It
as
is.
far as like if you see live action.
It is, but I'm telling you, the and this is where I'm hoping that Tim Burton turns it around a little bit, because we kind of looked at his IMDb and we saw that next movie that he was doing, and I was like, wow, it's like really boring.
Yeah, it's like this sounds like Tim Burton sitting in a movie sitting in a fucking room talking about a movie he wants to make. That's what the movie seems like.
But
It's
you know
that
what?
fucking
I'll
boring.
watch it because it's not Alice in Wonderland 2. He decided not to do Alice in Wonderland 2, which to me says, okay, maybe
Maybe
I
he realizes he's made enough bullshit money and he can just make something good now.
exactly, and that's why.
I just want him to comb his hair.
That's really what
Wash
it boils down to. You just don't like his fro.
It's like my problem with this movie that we just watched is like it's right in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's nowhere near being great. It's not good, but I
It's
wouldn't call it. I
indifferent.
wouldn't
Well,
call it
The
terrible.
entire movie you feel
Yes,
indifferent
it's,
about it.
it's a solid 5 for me.
In the great
That makes it almost worse than like a 1.
in the great words of Count Rosenberg, if you're just gonna fucking half-ass it, you might as well not do it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a
Money.
bad movie.
Money.
A bad movie is more fun than
at
a
least
mediocre
it had- you have
movie.
Plenty of things to bitch
Yeah.
about.
So thanks a lot, Alisa.
Well, that's because of your
Honestly, I just want to hear Mark bitch.
a mediocre
If I got
movie.
to
Think
be-
about a mediocre movie. Like if you go see it like a week later, you can't even remember you even fucking saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember anything about this movie from when I saw
I'll
it.
see movies sometimes where I'll be watching them. I'll sit there watching them. I was like, why do I know this? Why do I know this?
It's like, because
And
you
then-
watched the whole fucking thing already.
Right, and then I was like, I've never seen this movie before. And then when the movie's over, I go, oh, I fucking saw this. And I saw it like 2 months ago. And it's like, fuck, it was so just not memorable. Like you were talking about, the characters
It's either
aren't
that or you're
memorable, the songs
early
weren't
senility.
memorable. And I'm not a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan. I love it. And I've only ever seen the movie maybe 3 times.
Even if it's a
maybe
musical?
4. And I love, well, there are exceptions to the rule. First and foremost, I was a kid when I first saw it. Actually, when I first saw it as a kid, I hated it. I thought it was boring.
Well, Nightmare Before, we kind of talked about it in the horror musical podcast a little bit, and Mark wasn't for that here for it, but me and him discussed this a little bit.
He wasn't here for it, and he was definitely not for it.
right. But me and him discussed this a little bit. Mark's a horror fan, and Nightmare Before Christmas was definitely had horror themes.
Oh, I was terrified of it when I was
Yeah,
little.
I mean it had good horror themes, and so does Corpse Bride. That has good horror themes.
But they weren't executed well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like you set up that first frame when you're bowling and you knock down 8 pins, and then you miss that fucking 9th pin or 10th pin, like by this much.
You
by
missed
an
that
inch.
9th pin, and
Yeah,
you still have a
9th,
pin
10th,
left.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Though? You can't clean up the frame. That's what it is. Like you just like and that's more disappointing than just rolling a gutter ball. Because you roll a gutter ball, you're like, well, I fucked up.
Well, especially
But if you don't
it's a
clean the frame up, you're like,
spectacular
fuck, I suck so bad I can't get the one goddamn pin in the middle. You know, it's just like, fuck. That's how it felt.
And then you're like throwing the ball down the wrong lane.
And I have a feeling that if I pulled up to a stoplight and then next to me, Tim Burton pulled up in a stoplight in the Munster Mobile, because that's what it would fucking be. And I looked over at him and we were like, hey, comb your fucking hair. And then he goes, have you seen The Corpse Bride? We're like, why, yes, the fuck I have. Twice, actually. What were you thinking? He'd be like, it's my best film. And then he'd drive off. And then my head would explode. Like, I think that Tim Burton believes that this is probably the best fucking movie he's ever made.
Why would he believe that?
I just think that it's the best movie. I just have a feeling that he's that goddamn pretentious.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Well, see, now I feel like you just hate him because of this idea that you have of him. Like,
I really do.
You don't like what he looks like.
I don't like what he looks like.
He's bullshit.
He's pretentious.
He gets away
his
with
movies
reusing his own
You
material.
never sat down and had tea with him before. How would you know?
That Philip,
He doesn't know. It's
Philip,
He's clearly bitter.
that is the only
Jelly.
reason I can see Mark being bitter about Tim Burton is the fact that he is so successful off of reusing his own material.
Well, I mean, he's just
That's
successful
the problem I
reusing his
have
own
with him.
formula, like Mark was
Well,
saying.
let's not say that's the problem you have with him, because you have a lot of problems with
Yeah,
him that have nothing to fucking do with his movie.
That's
making.
the seed. That's the seed. Like, you poke the little hole in the little styrofoam cup when you grow your little science experiment in the first grade, and then that little seed was Tim Burton's reusable formula that he's rehashed 100 fucking times.
What do you think his best movie that he's ever done was?
Best movie that I
Not
think
your
is-
favorite, but his best.
Best movie? Big Fish.
Right.
I think it had the best acting in it. I thought the story was awesome. Like, as an adult, it's the only movie that has come close to making
There's
me
a
cry.
lot of Tim Burton fans out there that feel that's his worst
movie. Yeah.
Really?
And that's the thing. Like, I'm the total
See, I
opposite
haven't
because I
seen
felt
it.
it was
It's
very
fantastic.
It's insanely
different.
fucking good.
Yeah, it's very different than anything he's ever done.
Helena Bonham Carter's still in it.
Yeah, she's still in it.
Can't escape that.
When it first came out, and I was like, "Oh, this looks really good." Like, kind of like a weird fairy tale.
It was
type
very
movie,
fairy tale.
tall tale feeling.
Yes.
And I was like, I really want to see this movie. And then I saw Tim Burton was doing it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to see it so much anymore, because at this time I was torn about him because Planet of the Apes. And
Oh, God.
yeah, fuck. Yeah. So, and then I
Worst
went and
movie,
saw
by
it,
the
and I was
way.
like, holy shit, this was the best fucking Tim Burton movie I've ever seen. And I'm sitting there like at the end of the movie going,
Right.
am I crying? What? I'm
Mark,
gonna cry
emotion?
here. And then this friend of mine I was with, she's like, this was the worst fucking movie I have ever fucking seen. And I was
Really?
like, seriously?
It's like, I will smack a bitch.
I will beat you with that giant motherfucking fish that they had in this movie.
If
I'll
Mark
beat you with
cried-
popcorn.
If
Yeah.
Mark cried, that
Yeah.
means it has to be good.
You might be able to connect with it a little bit better than a woman might be able to, because if it's a father-son thing they were showing.
Yeah, there was a lot of father-son stuff, which I liked. and
Yeah.
which, once again, it still had that formula of love story. The guy who couldn't be with the woman.
It had
thing.
ghosts in it.
And yeah, it had ghosts. And it had, but it was still...
And creatures and all
Yeah.
sorts of shit.
But it was always fantastic. It was like the real world was in front of that.
Yeah, it was quite far.
So I really thought it was very different, and that's why I loved it. Whereas if you go back and you look at every other movie, you can go Tim Burton, Tim Burton, Tim Burton, same movie, same movie, same movie, same movie, same movie. There's where Johnny Depp pops in,
Right.
and he never goes away.
But back to what I was saying,
He can either
look at the five of us, and I know you don't want to look at the five of us because who would? But what I'm saying is, when I was talking about the Tim Burtons who like this and don't like that, and you hating this, but millions of other people liking that, I know for a fact that you like Edward Scissorhands. I wouldn't say you.
I love Edward
You love
Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
I know Philip loves Edward
Well,
Scissorhands.
obviously.
I don't know about Alisa.
I've seen it once when I was really little. I know.
DeHart fucking hates Edward
Nah, I
Scissorhands.
fucking hate it.
So
Can't help it.
you know,
You just hate the basic premise of the fact that he has
Yes, I
scissors
hate,
for hands.
I hate the
well,
premise.
but he doesn't like the movie itself either. I mean, that's something we talked about. And then
Right,
also,
but that wasn't his main gripe. The main gripe was, why the hell would he not just have regular hands to begin with?
right.
Which is a pretty good
I
gripe.
think-
Or even safety scissor hands. That would be smarter.
I think
Crazy 4-foot-long blades.
I think Ed Wood is one of his best movies. Like,
It is surprising that he would be able to make a comedy that's that good.
but there's Tim Burton fans out there that don't even fucking know what Ed Wood is. It's like,
Well, they don't
because
know
it's
who Ed
basically a
Wood
biopic,
Right,
You know,
right.
and of course Johnny Depp played Ed Wood.
right. And he was good. He was good.
See,
at
like
it.
Edward Scissorhands, even as a kid, when I first saw that, I saw it on TV when it first aired on TV, and I had never seen it before. And I was at my grandmother's, and they recorded it at my mom's because I was going back home. So my mom had set it up to tape, so I wouldn't miss any of it. So I would go back and just pick up from where I left off. So I watched it, and I was like, I really liked it. And even watching it as a kid, and I think I was like 8 years old at the time, I remember going, you know what? Like, I can see where this is going. It's like saying that the different people can come into a boring life and make things more interesting and accept them. But then, lo and behold, Anthony Michael Hall gets drunk and fucks shit up. So, I mean, I love the movie, but then you just have that same exact formula in almost every... In Corpse Bride, it's the same plot as Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. Almost frame for frame.
Well, Edward Scissorhands is just Frankenstein. Frankenstein with it's a sexy Frankenstein. That's all it is.
Sexy Frankenstein.
I like the sexy Frankenstein voice.
That clip needs to be cut and used in every.
Sexy Frankenstein.
I think that's your new host name. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it is. God, and Sexy Frankenstein, DeHart.
DeHart,
I'm
the
sorry.
sexy Frankenstein.
Yes.
Oh Lord.
Lisa, now you're a little bit younger than us.
Yes.
A lot younger than
How old
DeHart
are you?
and I.
I'll be turning 24 this year in May.
Okay, so you're not that much younger.
I'm only 3,000 years older than you.
Oh.
But you were younger when this stuff came out. Now, aren't you kind of a fan of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Not really, honestly.
No.
I watched it. Like just because I watched the original first.
And you love the
I
original?
love the original so much. He's pretty rapey.
He's Michael Jackson.
What about
Pretty
Alice in
much.
Wonderland?
I thought he was going to kill everyone at the end.
Not the original, right? The
The
Tim
new
Burton.
one.
I didn't like it.
Well,
Like
good.
I just hated the elements that they all put in. Just because I loved the world of Alice in Wonderland so much, I was so excited for that. But it was just such a letdown.
That's because it was like watching.
It wasn't-
It was like watching a video game.
I
I
didn't
couldn't do
like
it.
it.
Everything
It
was
was
so
because-
green screen.
Yeah, I was going to say it was because it was mostly made for the 3D like effect. It was. I think that movie was made because they're like, oh, what can we make? That we know will sell tickets, but also will sell 3D tickets.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But
What's your favorite?
my favorite, just because I love musicals so much, after watching Sweeney Todd, it really got me more into Broadway, But I think probably Nightmare Before Christmas, just because that's kind of what got me into like.
That
my
doesn't
interest.
count. That's not a Tim Burton movie.
Well, oh yeah, that's true.
Right, DeHart?
But
Nope.
You took it back.
He didn't direct it.
Yeah.
I mean, the
He
Broadway,
wrote the book
original
it's based
Broadway, original Broadway show is so much more superior. But I think Sweeney Todd is what really got me into Burton a whole lot.
Philip?
I'm definitely Big Fish.
Big Fish? Really?
Okay.
Really? I really like
It's
Big
so
Fish.
fucking good, but
It is.
it's
I need to
just
see it. I really need to see it.
really excellent cast and not typical.
I would have to say Beetlejuice is my favorite.
I was real torn. I
Yeah.
almost
You
said
just
Beetlejuice.
freaked me the
Yeah.
fuck out.
It was very,
Once
very
again,
scary.
Oh my
extremely terrifying stop motion.
Yeah.
So many
Oh,
creepy...
the face.
all,
Oh, yeah.
all of that
Oh,
shit.
no,
like
all of it.
whenever Beetlejuice's arms turn into snakes and like the sandworm.
sandworms.
The sandworm's even terrifying and it just looks like a sock.
Yeah.
It's traumatized.
It looks like a sock with another sock inside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
And it's still scary as shit because it's got a little mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna eat you with its little mouth.
Yeah.
Get back inside
Well,
of
let's-
me, little mouth.
I'll get you in with eating.
And Beetlejuice is super fucking good.
It is.
Oh yeah.
And that's the movie that made me love Michael Keaton too.
Yeah. Well, that and Bob Evans.
Yeah.
Bob Evans made you like Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Personally.
God, that guy was Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, are you?
Yeah.
You are.
Walk in there and hand him one of those cheap Batman masks, like, please.
He might hit me.
With a batarang?
Yes.
Worth it!
I don't think he would hit you. I think he would just put it on and just be Batman for the rest of his shift.
Yeah, just for the rest of his shift, he'd be like, here's your breakfast.
Yeah.
Your refill on cocoa.
Can I take your order? Would you
You're-
like grits with that?
You're all giving him modern Batman voice.
Yeah, because Michael
doesn't
Keaton
matter.
Batman voice was just Michael Keaton
Yeah.
voice.
Michael Keaton still did a little bit.
He did have a little rasp.
of a disguise on his voice. It wasn't.
I'm Batman.
Like, it wasn't.
What was it, Death Metal Batman?
Death metal Batman.
Swear to me! Where are the drugs?
Bat. Move.
I don't think two bats works there.
Bat. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up. You guys have anything else to say about Corpse Bride? I mean, I'm not going to tell people not to watch it. If you like Tim Burton, you probably won't be that impressed with it, but you'll like it.
Yes.
If you like musicals,
God, there's
catchy
so many other
musicals,
movies you should
probably-
watch instead.
Yeah, it's definitely if you're not really that like
If you haven't
Yeah,
watched
if
a lot of
you've
Tim
experienced
Burton,
with Tim
don't
Burton-
Missed
start
a
with
few
Corpse
Tim
Bride.
Burton movies, leave Corpse Bride out until you don't have anything left.
yeah, just
Yeah.
go
Except
ahead.
maybe Alice in Wonderland and Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we can all agree that Planet of the Apes sucks the most dick.
I haven't seen Planet of the Apes either. so.
I'm pretty
Don't
sure
even
Tim
worry
Burton
about
knows
it.
that is absolutely one of the worst movies he's ever. Definitely the worst movie he's
Yeah.
made. Probably one of the worst movies made.
Brandy's over there in the background going, "Okay, I'm playing the movie." She told me the other day that she's going to buy that movie. She said, no matter what, I'm going to get that movie. And she goes, I'll
She's
even
shaking
keep...
her head yes.
She said she's going to keep it in a separate room so it doesn't have to taint my other movies.
What is it? It's like the AIDS movie or something?
It
Like,
is.
don't mingle with the other movies.
Well, that was a really bad thing for you to say.
Yeah, it's not Tom Hanks in Philadelphia, buddy.
Yeah, we know it's not communicable just by looking at you people.
Yeah, but you don't know how movie AIDS works, though.
Yeah.
Well,
What's
maybe
in that?
Hey,
You're not a movie AIDS scientist.
Why even call it that?
Movie AIDS.
as long as you don't stick your disc in somebody else's case.
Yeah, it's when the Planet of the Apes disc gets
And
put...
even if you do, as long as you got one of those cover things, you probably still won't get AIDS.
Dude, Planet of the Apes disc goes in the Forrest Gump case, and
It's over. I mean, it's over for Tom Hanks.
That explains how Jenny got AIDS.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes.
Okay,
And Planet of the Apes hadn't even been made yet.
You have 200%
Well, it did
gone off
travel
the
through
track.
time.
That's going to turn into a Tim Burton podcast. Almost.
Yeah.
Poor Henry Selick.
Well, let's go ahead and plug
Let's
ourselves. You can find us on Twitter at MPM Podcast. That's Mark Philip Mark Podcast, but not really their full name, just the first letter. You can find us on iTunes, where you
I
can.
thought we decided it was Mark Philip Mike.
What did I say? Mark Philip Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need two marks.
We don't even really need the one.
Two marks aren't going to work there.
Exactly.
Mark. No, don't need to.
Yeah, just one. You can find us on iTunes, where you can download our episodes for free and subscribe to us, as well as rate and review us, you motherfuckers.
Motherfuckers.
No one's ever going to do that. Because every time you say that, you also
Offend
add
them.
an insult.
Please.
Yeah.
Well,
DeHart,
they'll go rate us bad.
DeHart puts us on YouTube, so you can find us on there. You can also stream us on Unitedcypher, and for you people that are...
For you people.
Yeah.
What do you mean by you people?
You person.
The technically challenged people out there that can't scroll down to the bottom of the screen and see...
Who are you making fun of here?
Just anybody,
Somebody
because-
left a comment, I think.
Yeah, there's well, no, he's not the only person. There's been a couple people that have messaged me. If you just scroll down to the bottom of the post page, you can click on a link and it will play it.
Put the link at the top of the page.
Or just look on
It
Facebook.
automatically does it.
Or just look on Facebook, because every episode I post the audio link. So just click on that and you're good.
What's the Facebook address?
It's
I don't use
Facebook/Motion Picture Meltdown.
There you go.
Motherfucker.
I wouldn't know. I can't see it.
Anybody
I
can
don't
find that.
Hey, DeHart, get fucking Facebook.
No. I mean, I'm ahead
This
of
is
the
the
curve,
beginning
man.
of you being old. Just letting you
Yeah.
know. Your refusal to use Facebook is the beginning of you being old.
Yeah.
Dude, my grandpa.
I mean, like, you can refuse to use Twitter because,
Because fuck Twitter.
yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Twitter does it all fucking automatically.
It's true.
All I'm
Twitter's
doing
pretty
is sending out the post and shit.
Also, check out fivefingertees.com. That's where Alisa's getting her delicious shirt from.
I cannot wait.
Yep. And they have awesome sales on shirts. Probably some Tim Burton shirts. Actually,
They have a shirt of Mark fingering his armpit.
yeah. Mark's wearing his Amityville
It's so cute.
Disney shirt right now. So, Philip, are you wearing one? No.
Oh no, I think I'm
Nope.
just wearing my minty
just your
green.
plain mint green shirt.
Yeah.
I thought you were wearing your Lausche shirt for a second.
Sorry, I'm wearing my toothpaste today.
Yeah.
Whatever, toothpaste
It is
is an
very-
awesome
very
color.
But
It's
no,
an awesome
this
color.
was such an enjoyable experience, and
Well,
You don't have to lie to
yeah,
us.
you don't have to lie.
I just love hearing people argue. It's so
Well,
much fun.
I'll tell you what. You can always just Skype in with us and be on any podcast
Are you
that you want.
serious?
Yeah.
Okay, well, only people
Not
actually
really,
want to
though.
listen
We're
to.
lying.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
all good.
And we never
We'll
introduced
see
ourselves,
we'll do the
but
market
fuck it.
research to
If you're
figure out
listening,
how
Yeah,
the reaction
sure.
is.
No, how like a squeaky voiced girl will impact that. Let's see.
we never introduced ourselves, but fuck it, because if you don't know who we are by now, then fuck you.
I
So
think we talked about it.
yeah. We'll go ahead and.
Well, now that we have a nickname for DeHart.
Oh yeah, I know. We'll go ahead and end things up, and I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen the Roast Rosenberg.
I'm Mark the Shark Hinton.
Phil Collins.
You're DeHart.
No.
Sexy Frankenstein.
DeHart the sexy Frankenstein.
And Alisa Hamilton.
And we will see you next time.
Tell you a story, make a skeleton cry of our own deliciously lovely corpse bride. You might try to hide and you might try to fade, but we all end up the remains of the day. That's right. Well,
Jam.